In this video, I show you how to jazz up a chord progression on guitar. You will learn how to take a typical progression and use extended chords to jazz it up. Hi, this is Simon Candy from Acoustic Guitar Lessons Online.net, and using chord extensions brings so much more diversity and variety to your guitar playing. You don't have to be a seasoned jazz musician at all to use chord extensions. In fact, whilst they are often associated with jazz, extended chords are a concept associated with all styles of music. What you're about to see is an excerpt from a live masterclass I taught in Chicago, and in this class I present to you a standard chord progression before applying a number of extensions to jazz it up. In addition, you'll learn a finger picking pattern associated with jazz which you can then use to play throughout the progression. I also demonstrate how to integrate some cool walking bass lines. But before we get to the class, let me just briefly explain the concept that we'll be looking at here. So if I take a really standard chord progression, a 2-5-1 in the key of G, playing very, very standard chords. So an A minor chord, a D major, that's the 5, and the 1 chord G major. Okay, just a standard 2-5-1. So what you would typically do with jazz is you'd extend on those chords. So instead of A minor, you might play an A minor 7. Instead of just a straight up D chord, we'll make it a D dominant chord, a D9 chord extended. And then the G major can be extended to a G major 7. So we get that type of thing. Okay, for a more varied sound, a little bit more interesting. But there's lots of ways we can jazz these chords up, extend them. So sometimes that 5 chord is altered. You can alter chords as well as extend them. And I think I do a bit of that in this class. So I would have like the A minor 7, and typically the 5 chord is altered, maybe like this, which sounds quite out there, but resolves nicely into the G major 7. Okay, so you get like a... And there's other ways you can alter that chord. You can sort of do, these sorts of sounds. Okay, so there's lots of ways that extend upon just the basic major and minor chords, which we started with there. So that is the concept of the class essentially, and a little bit on the finger picking side and patterns that you can use, but that'll be explained in the class. So let's get to it. So let's have a look at a jazz approach to this chord progression that I demonstrated before. What's a really, really common trait regarding chords with jazz? So, what do we do a lot with chords in jazz? Or we extend the chord, right? We add upper extensions to the chord, of which, not so much upper, but I have extended on some of these chords with the dominant chords. But we could take that D and make it a D major 7, C sharp 7 I'll keep the same, F sharp minor 7, that's a nice jazz voicing for an F sharp minor 7, E to a B, it's a nice jazz, what I call these jazz voicings, these ones, B minor 7, which I'm using the same form I use for F sharp, E9, so another dominant chord, just a 9. And we could use the A, which is an A6 chord, for example. I could go back up and play D6 for the D chord, extending. The dominant chords on the C sharp, that's like a C sharp 11 to a C sharp 9, I think that is. Another variational voicing for an F sharp minor 7. It's a B7. Actually, it's B9 with a D sharp in the bass. You might recognise that possibly as a half diminished chord, which can also function as. And then, where am I? On the B minor again, the E9 and the A6. So the point is there's lots of extensions you can apply to these chords, and in the handout there'll be a chart specifically with those ones. It might be a good starting point for you, or some additional ideas. Let's look at a finger picking pattern that we could apply to this chord progression. Something that's going to be something we can base jazz approach off. So I'm just going to do this on open strings. Again, there'll be plenty of these in the handout,
but if you want to write them down now, you can. This is open strings so you can focus on the picking hand, and you can just kind of emphasise the pattern. That's the basic pattern. It's like when you've got a strumming pattern and you might be teaching someone and it's got a down, down, up, down, up. You know it's not exactly that every single bar, but you know that's the basis for the strumming pattern. So this is the basis one way. So we've got to apply a single note with the thumb and note together with the 3 fingers. Depending on the chord, you might pluck on some of the lower strings, like I've got there. So an index finger on the 4th string, so that will happen. So we've got 1 and 2, 3 and 4. Right? 1 and 2, 3 and 4. What's missing there? What do we need to do pretty much for a jazz feel with 8 notes? We need to swing it. Yeah. Alright, we swing the 8 notes. 1 and 2, 3 and 4. So if I take that basic pattern and I use some of those voicings I was demonstrating before. 6. And into the B minor, E9, and the A6, and sometimes I like to put in a 6 chord there, from the A to the F sharp. And that is an altered chord. Altered's different to extended chord. Altered is you taking a chord tone existing in the chord and altering it. You're not putting a sharp. I'm taking the 5th there and sharpening it. Okay, so we don't want to get sidetracked with all the things that could be happening there. But what we're doing is taking a very simple finger picking pattern and then using it and applying it creatively to our chord progression here. Make sense?
Yeah.
All good? Yep. Excellent. Okay, walking bass. The last thing I released on the website before I came over here was a walking bass ebook that I did up, and there was an article not long before that. And that goes into a lot of different ways you can approach a walking bass. I love the walking bass. On the guitar we can include the chords, of course, too, so really, really cool, and straight away jazz when you hear a walking bass. But you can use it in other styles as well to a degree. So if I add some walking bass into that chord progression using our voicings. Okay, so there's some walking bass ideas, and you can just get the idea of how that can sound. It doesn't have to be going the entire time necessarily, but there's some really, if this is a walking bass line masterclass, some really, really easy ways to do that. Okay, I was using a mixture of approaches there, but to get the same effect, really easy ways. You can check that out on the website. I just want to let you know of that if you're interested and want to discover that a little bit more.
If you like the finger picking ideas and concepts we explored in this video, then check out the Ultimate Fingerpicking Guitar Course, a complete system for fingerpicking acoustic guitar, so simple even a beginner can learn it. I've carefully designed this course to do all the heavy lifting for you, as far as knowing exactly what to do, how to do it, and when to do it in regard to mastering the art of fingerpicking guitar. All you have to do is follow the pathway I've laid out for you. In the Ultimate Fingerpicking Guitar Course, you will learn and master all the key concepts, methods, strategies, and techniques needed for fingerpicking, including the exact order in which to do things, avoiding the all too common mistakes most people make when learning to fingerpick guitar. This will save you much time and frustration. So click the link in the description below this video and check out the Ultimate Fingerpicking Guitar Course. Let me know in the comments section what guitar topics you would like to see covered in future videos. I read every comment and I would love to hear your suggestions. If you like this video, then hit that like button, and if you haven't already, subscribe to the channel and hit the all-important notification bell button so YouTube can tell you when I've released a new video. This is Simon Candy from acousticguitarlessonsonline.net. As always, thank you for watching this video. I appreciate your time, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video.